Hello and welcome back everybody to the offline educational series. I'm doing them offline to start with. We'll see how we go on. Maybe there's reason for a clinic session, but it needs input from the attendees. So we'll see how things go. Today though, I'm going to be talking about the human element amongst some chart art in the form of pivots. I want to discuss some human interaction issues first. The human stuff, anyway. It's always very humorous and very interesting, so it's first. I've always found it hard to understand the habit in humans of continually stating the very obvious. It's a nice day, or it's raining. Very foggy, isn't it? That one's spoken as a kind of question, really, as if someone was checking their own vision wasn't in some way impaired. You've fallen over. I've fallen over are yet more examples of things humans say. Really obvious observations. And of course, it could be taken to the ludicrous element when we consider sports on TV. I absolutely understand the need for commentary on a radio, but on the TV? Really? Okay. In the mind of a trader, you also can have a good plan on paper, but the trade plays out on a chart. I have an interest in history, and I find it true and fair to state that despite many years of technological advancements, the most unreliable item anywhere, and certainly in anything to do with trading, more importantly, remains unchanged and is indeed the trader. My point now, drawn out though it was, necessary it was in order to clearly make this point. As humans, we see things and we say what we've seen. In many cases, totally unnecessarily. Yet, we look at a chart and don't so much as tell ourselves what it was we did in fact see. Seldom we realise what we see, and sometimes that dangerous occurrence of thought happens, as in the case, I thought it was going to blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter what you thought. Pivots then for the chart art section, and that recording that was, but wasn't really noticed, watched, learned from. If there was just one tip I could give my younger self all those years ago when I got into this, it would be simply A, B, C. Always be checking for divergence, for patterns, for the rejection of a line, for our TODs, time of day trades for those who don't know. Simple, really, but so few apply that into the process. Now, some time ago, let me just double check exactly when, we created a video on pivots. It was the 8th of January 24, this year then, so you don't have to go far. The title was Pressure is a Privilege, Pivots, and How We Are Meant to Make Best Use of Them. Now, if you're a member of my group, it's a free video, so everybody who's got access to our YouTube channel could actually watch that. But did you? Did you want to? Was it boring? I don't know, but people are asking for pivots, so we'll have a quick, very quick glance at pivots. There's a pivot right there. It was one you expected because pink cross purple. There is a pivot. There is a soft pivot. That's a hard pivot, absolutely. Pivots are expected. And in the absence of anything, that we didn't expect, and we got everything that we would have expected today. Certainly if you know me, if you know what I'm looking for, and you're looking at these charts, I've got the Dow on the right, I've got the NAS on the left. Everything that I would be looking for happened, and it's still happening. Everything the pivots, the divergence, the line rejections, the signals. It's all right there. Disappointing then is the human element. Always I compare things to driving, and the fact remains that the nut behind the wheel is the biggest problem. For a trader, the problem exists between the keyboard and the chair. Apologies for that observation, but humans do tend to state the obvious, don't they? And I have to, until I'm disqualified for pushing or something, I am still a member of the human race. There you go. Do I break rules? I occasionally break rules. Why? Because occasionally I'll see a pivot, something well worth taking, but I need to see something that accompanies it. And usually the accompanying something is what makes it worth taking. I do talk myself through my trades. If you watched the last YouTube recording, which was an excerpt from a live trading session, there was a 50 pip W off the Dow. And here we go again. X, A, B, C, W. That's more than 50 pips for a Dow W. If we look at the NAS, X, A, B, C, double bottom, W. And there's a lot more than 50 pips available from the NAS as well. I hope I called that the Dow a moment ago. I'll know when I watch the recording. It is what it is. Pivots anyway. That's a pivot. That's a soft pivot. If we scroll back, there's a pivot. There's a pivot. I sound like Ross. Pivot. We can go back on the NAS. A pivot. Pivot. It's a south pivot. A sell pivot. Pivot. Ross again. Pivot. Pivot. It is what it is. Pivot. It bounces off a line. When we talk about the process, divergence, rejection of a line, divergence, rejection of a line, it's a pivot. It's very simple. It's ideally very easy to spot. Those of you who use the indicators that I prefer, those of you who have a MACD on your screen, if you scroll back to today's open on the NAS or the Dow, you'll see divergence, the rejection of a line, and a pattern. A W pattern, X, A, B, C, W. You all know it's one of my favourite patterns. And I will remind you again that if there was one tip I could give my younger self so many years ago when I got into this, it would be simple. It would be A, B, C. Always be checking for divergence, for patterns, for the rejection of a line. Apply that to your process. I'm going to keep this one short so that you've no excuse to not watch it till the end. Please trade safe and I look forward to seeing you on the next session. Thanks everybody for watching. Bye bye.